Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. We're about to jump into Game 2, Part 2, let's call it, continuing that last segment. Before I get into that, though, let me remind you guys, Dallas is coming up. The MLG Winter Championships, March 15th through the 17th. Right now, if you wanna go there live, passes are 30% off. Buy them online, $35 for all 3 days at the venue. There's a lot of stuff going on at the venue. It's awesome. There'll be player autograph signings, all kinds of craziness. You get to see the things on the big screen as part of a crowd. Ambience is great. So if you're anywhere near Dallas area, you've got that weekend free. Go ahead and buy them online, $35. If you show up at the door, it's going to be $50. Also, I think there may be still a few of those VIP tickets left. If you want to be a baller, go ahead and check those out. There's a lot of cool perks in those, so you can find it all at majorleaguegaming.com. You can navigate to the store from there. Anyways, into game number 2 here. It's continuing game number 2, excuse me, to part 2 of it. Gonna talk about when to time your attack and a lot of considerations that go into that. And then we're talking about using Vipers to support a Roach Hydra composition. And then tactical maneuvering at its finest. Both these guys are so excellent. There's a lot of cool tactical maneuvering I want to talk to you guys about. But let's just jump into this game here at the 15:30 mark. And also, any questions, tweet them at me, axslav. Hit me up, I'll answer them all at the end of the show. So here we go, I am Seed. He's saying, you know what? It's time to attack, right? And remember, this whole game, he's had very little vision. Why is that? He doesn't have the Robo, right? He's been cranking out Blink, Stalker, Storm. He's been prioritizing upgrades, the Storm tech, and the economy over that Robo. He lost all his sentries of force fields and micro-battling earlier on, so he hasn't been able to use Hallucination Scout lately. So he basically is playing in the blind, right? And he's like, I'm cranking out a ton of Warp Gate units. Blink Stalkers, Storms, Archons, +3 weapons almost done. Charge on the way. I've got this crazy Warp Gate army, but you know what? What beats a crazy Warp Gate army? Zerg higher tech units. If he gets a lot of Infestors, if he gets Broodlords, if he gets a lot of Storm Hosts maybe. If the Zerg gets higher tech units, especially the Hive tech play, then your army's going to be kind of crap, right? So he wants to attack before high tech comes into play. He's kind of doing it a little bit blind. He's guessing. And he's going that when he's at 150 food, he's figuring the way the game's gone. You know, it's 15:30 in the game. It's probably time to go. But in actuality, what he doesn't know is he's got another minute or two before he needs to attack because, you know, there's so many Roach Hydras being produced. Sniper hasn't really gotten that transition quite as fast as he would in a normal game. So he really has another minute or two left. And he probably, in theory, should know that based on the way the trades have gone in the opening. But, you know, it's been a crazy game. He wants to get out there. He's scared that Infestors will come and it'll ruin his day. So he wants to get out there and do some damage now. Ideally, the idea of timing your attack. If you have a composition that will, as it scales, will be better and better versus your opponent's composition, you want to wait as long as possible. That's Blink Stalker Storm against Roach Hydra. The bigger those armies get, Storms are more effective. Blink Micro is more effective because when you have a lot of Stalkers, your first row blinks to the back, and then you can keep cycling, and by the time the guy that blinked is back into the firing range, he'll have his blink cooldown back up again. You can keep cycling a lot better. So as it scales up, it helps you in that respect. But as soon as Infestors or Hive Tech comes into play, it swings back to the Zerg's favor. So what you want to do is let the armies get as big as possible right before the Zerg gets extra tech, and you hit right before that tech kicks in. So ideally, be another minute or two from now, maybe max, but he doesn't really know exactly when the tech kicks in, so have to attack right now. Anyway, he's moving out. You know, it's easy to say, oh, he's attacking Tori, it's a mistake, but you got to remember, I mean, he has to be able to scout because of the build he did. He's got to do these based on timings he knows, and 15:30 into the game is normally says, okay, it's time to go. So he's going in for his attack, right? Got a lot of guys. Bring the Mothership cores. We need some Time Warps, maybe even a recall if he has to. He's got a bunch of Storms. And now, what the cool part is here is to talk about basically the positioning, right? So if you notice what he did here, when he came down this ramp, he moved down first, right? Why would he do that? Well, let's say he does attack move towards his opponent, right? If he attack move towards his opponent, what happens? Right? Okay, some of his Stalkers stop here, right? The first Stalker stops there and fights. Right? Where does the next one go? Well, the next one is going to basically come down here. And then these units are going to, they're going to ball up. They're going to try to push through this angle. And they're going to get basically a formation that looks kind of like this. Because they'll bottle up, and then the Zerg will come up here. And you're going to have kind of a formation like that. Against the opposing Zerg player is going to have a formation that's going to look basically like this, right? Their formation is going to end up like this. Which means that you've got a position where are you going to put your storms, right? The bigger the Zerg line is, the less dense it's going to be, right? If their units can spread out and not bump into each other, they're going to be less dense. So your storms will be less effective, your time warp will be less effective, all your spells will be less effective. You're not as worried about getting all your guys into battle. That's important too. The most important thing, though, is to worry about your spells. So instead, what he does, instead of doing that nonsense, he's like, you know what? I'm a smart guy. I don't want to give him that concave. So what I'm going to do, being a smart guy, is he's going to head down here, right? He moves straight down here first. And then he's got a battle line like this, right? And his opponent will have the same battle line. Basically, it'll be equivalent, right? And if you're ever attacking your opponent and you can get equivalent positioning, and you don't have mobility advantage. If you have mobility advantage, you should be able to get superior positioning. If you're attacking with a mobility disadvantage, and you're able to get equivalent positioning, that means you did something right, right? So, very nice play by Seed here, getting here. Unfortunately, he misjudged his timing. Of course, he couldn't scout, so we know that. And Sniper was really just cranking out units like a maniac. So, even though the positioning is pretty much as good as Seed could want, it's still not ideal. You know, Sniper still has a better concave, but if you notice, instead of having units be able to be up here as well, they're a little more crowded than they would be, right? Because he's able to get down here. And imagine how much the spread would have been if Sniper, instead of having these units clumped here, right? He's got this giant clump there. Oops. Imagine if that clump was instead basically spread around this area, right? If he was attacking this line, right? It could have been a lot more spread out. And if it's a lot more spread out, then Storm and Time Warp will be less effective. So it's not, I mean, Sniper still has a slightly better position, but C's doing the best he can with what he's got, which is pretty darn good, I think. He's hitting the Time Warps well, the Storms well. Sniper was trying to dodge out that using the Hydra to spread. Both players are microing well, and now Seed ends up, just falling under sheer weight numbers because, of course, Sniper had a 50% advantage. Because Sniper wasn't really trying to tech transition, he was just prioritizing cranking out units like a maniac. So, basically, what we ended up with is a pretty even trade. Sniper got a slight advantage there because I think it was about a 2,000 difference in unit loss, and now it's about a 1,000 difference. So, Sniper with a slight edge there, but not too bad for Seed. And now, of course, with this great Blink Micro, he's able to try and get a lot done. And now it's really awesome here. Look what he's doing. He's trying to bait this army backwards, right? If he can bait this army backwards, look at his composition, right? If we select this, what is this? 7 roaches and a bunch of Hydras. Now, the roaches are meeting the front, and that's exactly what Sniper wants. But if he can bait this backwards, and he can get charged off, hit from the back, remember, look at his structures. I think there's a new structure tab here, isn't there? Yeah, look at this. This is a cool tab. He's got 12 warp gates, right? And look at his money. 1,200 minerals, and that's not bad macro. That's just the way Protoss works because you go in cycles. If you look, all his warp gates are timed, 1 second rating cooldown, right? All he has to do is lure these units out just like a hair further, and then Charge-Offs can flank him from the back, and it's going to be like a massive slaughterhouse. So he's trying to do that. He's trying to pull these units away from the pylon. Blink Micro turns around and fights, but Sniper realizes what's up, and he goes for this pylon. Now imagine if he didn't go for that pylon. If all these units die, and they would, they have nowhere to run, right? Charge-Offs will charge them down. Blink Stalkers can blink on top of them. They'll all die, and they'll kill almost nothing, because they'll die so fast. They'll basically kill almost nothing. If these units all die, all of a sudden we've got a Seed he's coming in with 12 charge lots and 14 Blink Stalkers against what does Sniper have? He's got a couple of Hydras coming to 1 by 1. But when Zerg units start coming to 1 by 1, they're just going to get annihilated. And at the very least, he get that 4th base. And 3 base versus 3 base, he's got better tech, he's got better upgrades. Seed's in a great position. But Sniper sees this attack coming, and this is almost a game-changing thing here, is focusing down that pylon. And now, it was, Seed doesn't lose anything from trying that move. It could have been a game-breaking move, but now instead you see he's warping in mostly Stalkers because not able to get that flank off. And in a straight line fight, the Zealots aren't quite as good. Just because they're melee, so the opponent units will be able to shoot them. Anyways, this game's going on a little bit longer. And what's happening is basically snipers, you know, continuing getting Hydras and Roaches stay alive, and now he's adding Vipers. Now we're going to look at his positioning here. Seed over here, Sniper's looking to get a battle. Seed says, okay, I'll take it, right? And if we look at this, some of these Blink Stalkers are in an ideal position, but using Blink against Hydras off creep, it'll be great for Seed because he can keep blinking back in rows, and off creep, the Zerg's unable to reinforce quite as fast as he would be otherwise. So he's going to keep blinking back like this. If you notice, while he's blinking back, the Zerg has to come forward, and all these Stalkers are able to shoot. And one thing else to notice is, check this out. I'm going to back this up just a second, and I might have to, yeah, I might have to fast forward back to here. So, oh, I missed it. Let's see if this is it. Times 8 speed, man. It's too fast on these replays. It's easy to miss things. All right, here we go. Let's see where's it gonna be. Okay, so look here. So it's easy for a player when you're there. Your micro blink stalkers are thinking. This is what you're thinking. All right, stalkers, get back, right? And when you think get back, what do? You grab these guys and you blink it back, because that's just the way your mind works. You're like, get back. So put them in the back units. But what does that do? When they blink back, they won't be attacked. There'll be other stalkers in front of them. They'll be trying to muscle forward. It won't work. So what does he do? He grabs these guys. He blinks them up here. Grabs some more guys here. Blinks them up here. And now not only is he dodging the roach attacks, if you notice, he doesn't instantly blink to form the concave. He waits until the first roach and hydra volleys are in the air. So he dodges those volleys, and he forms that great concave. This is how to do blink micro at its finest, pretty much. You got to keep blinking back, and both you multitask with a blink. You get a better positioning, and you dodge attacks. So look at this. The Hydras are starting to launch their first attacks. If he times it perfectly, when their next volley is hit, I mean, he's very hard to time it, but the idea is you attack while the shots are in the air, and all of a sudden he's got this great concave. Sniper has to retreat, and he's traded like one stalker for a bunch of roaches and hydras. He's got them on the run just from using that blink to both dodge attacks and set up a perk positioning. And now Sniper says, you know what? I keep pushing forward. He'll just keep blinking backwards, and then more reinforcements will come in from the side, probably with a warping pylon. I'll be slaughtered, so I gotta pull back and take a better position. So he's gonna pull back here. Seed's gonna, he's gonna wait for some more reinforcements. Of course, wait for the shield to regenerate, the blink cooldown, etc. And Sniper's still massing up here. Just gonna keep massing up, guys. And now the Vipers should be out. Where are those guys? Here they are. They're all getting their energy. Of course, Vipers, this energy suck ability is so good because you just do it and all of a sudden units that just come out. I mean, imagine if you're Templar or you're Infestors or you're Ghosts, your Medivacs come out with full energy. It'd be crazy, right? But of course, the Vipers is just, I mean, it's not a balance. It's one of their advantages, right? Of course, the disadvantage is they're a little higher in tech, and they're pretty frail. So, anyways, next part. He's coming in for the battle here. Now, this is where he's going to use the Vipers to support the Roach Hydra army, right? And what's really cool is, think about this from Seed's perspective, or from Sniper's perspective. Let's back this up a bit. There's one theory where, like, okay, I don't know. I think he might come down here, but maybe he might come down here, right? And as soon as he comes down here, I'm going to react to it. But look how, I mean, maybe it's slow, maybe it's intentional. He doesn't instantly try to get that great concave, right? Because, well, let me just fast forward this just a little bit. We'll see what's going on. Now, the battle lines are Seed, of course, to be able to get that nice concave, but one really important thing that I'm going to say is look at where the Stalkers are, right? Yeah, they're in a pretty wide spread out area versus, the Zerg units are kind of clumped, funneling in. But where do Stalkers have to retreat? If the Zerg hits them from like this type of angle, I mean, the idea is the units will spread out that way, ideally to get that angle. These Stalkers, they can't go back very far, right? They're stuck. As opposed to, if you had the Stalkers here, and the Zerg army was here, right? They could just kite backwards, right? And they could do the blink rows backwards, etc. They can do a lot of micro stunts here. But because they have nowhere to retreat, this is where the Vipers become absolutely amazing. If your opponent can't retreat, the Vipers become super crazy. It's Blinding Cloud becomes an absolute game changer. Because look at this, he's gonna come in here. And I mean, there's blink micro. Look at that. See, remember when he's blinking? Do you see this? He's not blinking. I I gotta use this again. These stalkers that are blinking here, right? They're not blinking back here. They're blinking over here, right? Because that way he gets the concave bigger and they can still get in on the action. At the same time, they're still off to the side and there's no Zerg units over here, right? The Zerg units here would be the ones that would attack these stalkers. Because there's no Zerg units here, they won't be attacked, so they can go ahead and regenerate their shields, get their blink cooldown back up. But it still can be part of the action, kind of sniping in from the side. So, I mean, amazing blink macro by Seed there. But coming in from the from Sniper, right? He's coming in here. He's got his opponent backed up where he can't retreat. And look at this. Look at where he puts that blinding cloud. Right there. Now, this area right here, all these stalkers, they're worthless. Right? What's he going to do? These stalkers, sure. He could grab them and he could blink, like, he could blink them back up here onto the ramp. Right? And now they can't shoot. And now you've only got a small, you know, you've got these two guys fighting against a Zerg army that's like this. Right? And the surface area is way in Zerg's favor. You're going to be in a rough spot, right? So that's not what you want to do, right? You don't want to blink up there. What else can you do? Well, you can blink back here, right? Then what's going to happen? You're going to attack move. They're going to turn around and walk right back in that blinding cloud, right? They're just going to head right back here. It's just going to go into same. It's going to go into same thing. So another option, of course, you could blink them up forward aggressively, and then they're just going to get focused down because all the units in the back here, they're gonna go kill them. So there's nowhere to put the stalkers because of the position. There's nowhere that those stalkers can go that it won't either run straight back into that blinding cloud or just be totally annihilated. And it's almost a checkmate position. I mean, he almost has to do. He can't even do a full retreat because these guys, if he went to a full retreat, what would happen, right? These stalkers here can get up. These guys here, even with the blink, they're still gonna get run down and creeping and die. He just forfeit, you know, a good chunk of stalkers, and it's a really, really tough call. Sniper set up perfectly. I mean, he's got his opponent backed up against the wall. The blinding cloud's there. And one important thing to note, if he didn't have his opponent backed up here, all you have to do is kite back, and then the Zerg army runs into blinding cloud, and then the Zerg army is the one who can't shoot. So you have to do it in the right situations. Otherwise, you're better off, you know, if you combine with Fungal, you got him backed up against the wall. Or if you're using, like, Zerglings Ultras, you don't care because the Zerglings and Ultras are melee anyway, so you just throw it everywhere. But just beautiful, beautiful, you know, positional use of these abilities from both the players with the Blink. And then, of course, with the Blinding Clouds, you can see here, these Stalkers are attacking you after trying to run forward and get into action. Another Blinding Cloud there. And it turns, I mean, this battle, Seed would have won this convincingly. Like, he would have won that battle convincingly if it wasn't for those Blinding Clouds. As it is, though, now he has to retreat. If you notice, on the Hydralisk here, it goes to range melee because it's under the Blinding Cloud. So Blinding Cloud hits both sides, if you guys didn't know that. And Seed's going to try to do what he can with these Stalkers. Going to run around Blink. And, I mean, if he got a Fungal off here, that would have been seal the deal for this little Stalker force. As it is, though, very, very good snipe on that. Infestor going to go here, snipe the Overseer. Going to Blink again, snipe another Roach. And Seed actually does a lot of damage. Loses a few to Fungal, but overall, he makes the best out of the situation. And now we're at a kind of an interesting position here where, you know, Seed's able to back away. If you look at this, Sniper's got a big food advantage, right? But, this is the big but. He's got the big food advantage, but Seed has upgrades that'll help him for the rest of the game. Sniper doesn't have a single upgrade yet on his Zerglings, Broodlings, Ultralists, all those late game power units. And remember, as the armies scale up, Roaches and Hydras get a little bit weaker. Heart of Swarm, they can last longer because of support with Swarm Hosts and with Vipers and whatnot, but still the idea is that, you know, for late game, Seed is set up better for you to competitionally and upgrade. But Sniper, you know, he's got the better economy, only a few more drones, but he's got that 4th base up, and he's got the army advantage right now. Of course, he's going to try to push an army advantage and make sure there's trades. Why is he trying to trade down units? Same as in chess. If you're ahead, you trade down, you simplify. If he keeps trading units, Seed won't be able to take the 4th base. So he'll have to wait till he gets an army to take the 4th base. The longer time passes before Seed can take a 4th base, what happens? Right now, income is fairly close. Sniper has a small edge. But what happens when this, when basically these two last crystals go away, and then this goes away? Now all of a sudden, Seed's stuck to mining off 1 base, right? And Sniper, Yeah, he'll have 2 bases, right? His economy will go down 2 if his main natural blow up. He'll also have 2 bases to 1. That's twice the economy. Right now, he's got 3 bases to 2 roughly of mine. So it's 1.5 times economy. As time goes on, it goes to twice. So he wants to keep the trades going and try to wear Seed down, delay him from taking that 4th for as long as possible. On the other hand, Seed, knowing that this is what's going to happen, he's just got a micro well, keep a good defense set up. So he's going to come in here, and with all these storms here and the choke point as the Zerg was coming up, Sniper says, you know what? I can't do it. I can't do it. I got to back away. Can't be done. But then, of course, he just decides to change his mind and says, you know what? If I can get up here, if he's not going to hold the ramp, if he's worried about me, the reason, by the way, Seed didn't hold the ramp is because he's worried Sniper would cut down and knock out this base. And so it's kind of like a little bit of punk fake. Then I'll go up, take the concave, try to micro around the storm, but both players are kind of a little bit iffy, right? The reason why Seed's iffy, he doesn't want to trade units, right? If he moves forward, he trades units, Sniper can replace him easier. Why is Sniper iffy? Well, look at the way Seed's positioned. Let's say Sniper does move forward, right? Let's say Sniper does move forward, and he wants to put his army of roaches and hydralisks and basically disposition, right? What happens? Well, all of a sudden, these units here, they're attacking all these random buildings, while these units here get totally mauled. So half his army will be stuck attacking buildings, you know, and that's not good. So that's why I didn't want to go in there, because the buildings can be used really, really powerfully as a defensive type of position. So really, really cool play there from both sides. You know, Seed backing up, saying if you want to fight me, you're going to have to worry about a lot of your guys shooting these pylons, shooting the cannon, potentially. Photon overcharge if I had a mothership core. You know, you don't know if I do or not. A lot of cool stuff going on there. So it's going to kind of come to a situation where Sniper's saying, you know what? I want to make sure he can't take a 4th base. I'll send this beautiful concave here. I'll send Speedings in to see what's going on over here, maybe do some damage. But look at this, by the way. Look at this building position Seed has. Speedings can't actually get in here except through this tiny little choke. Even with the pylons walling off back here, it's just beautifully defensive position. I mean, a lot of Protoss will put like 5 cannons there. Seed says, no, I can do it with 1. So that's what he's doing. Now he's going to try to set the 4th base, and this is where Sniper decides not to try to contest him. And this is the point where Sniper said, you know what? I could try to hold this concave, but I'm worried. I'm worried that he has enough time to get a lot of storms, a lot of units. I'm not on creep. I'm far from a rally point, and I'm trying to transition, right? When you're trying to transition, you don't want to have to lose your army before you're ready to transition. Because if he lost his army now, he had to rebuild in Roaches and Hydras. He had the same problem that his army isn't a great late game composition that he just had. So ideally, he'd wait to trade his army until the Ultra's Cavern is done. Because once that's done, then he can repopulate in his transition units, which are going to be the Ultras, which of course are very, very good against Stalkers. And actually, they're very good against Zealots now as well. In Wings of Liberty, they weren't. But now they're really good against Zealots and Stalkers. And they're good against Storms, so they're good against everything Seed's going. It's a brilliant transition idea. But he says, you know what? Let's not trade until I'm ready to do that. And then to make sure of that, I'm going to build some spines so he can't continue his attack. Some nice little harass here by Seed as well with some Zealots above the side point. So now Seed's going to go ahead and take his expansion. He's going to try to get the Observer out here, because he's just now getting Observers to see what's going on with these bases down here. And that was coming up as a pretty cool part. So now, I remember I said he didn't want to transit. He don't want to trade right now. Now the Ultra's Cavern's done, right? It's done. Sniper says now is time where I want to trade off some of these Roaches and Hydralists, because once I can trade these off, right? If I can trade them off, I can replace them with better units, right? So he's trying to engage. He wants to get at his opponent. But, unfortunately for him, you know, look at this. Is he going to really come down this ramp and fight this army? Look at the concave. It's not going to happen, right? So what does he do? He positions on one side of the ramp and he attacks over here, right? And this is what's called a narrow pass, right? It's called... It could be entangled ground as well, but we'll just call it narrow pass. It's more relevant to be narrow pass. And there's a cool quote, you know, what Sun Tzu says about narrow passes: never go through them. There's a strong army defending them, right? Because you're going to be slaughtered. Your guys are going to be stuck. They're going to be caught in a crossfire. They're going to be bunched up. It's no good, right? what you want to do is you want to try to get your opponent to divert their strength. And then if there's only a few units there, if it's weakly defended, you rush across, kill it really quickly, take that side of it. But first, you got to try to find a way to divert the rest of their forces. So that's exactly what Sniper's doing here. He's sending all these speedings here. And he's saying, you know what? You're going to lose your third unless you send your army, right? He's trying to hope if these units here, if they head down here, then all of a sudden it's not a massive concave. It's just a group right here. And Sniper can handle this group, right? He can handle that. So if he can get these units to go away, he's happy. But you know what? He goes there, he checks, he says, Seed's not moving his guys. What's with this? I should be killing him. And Seed's like, you know what? This looks bad, right? It looks bad. But I can't move my guys. If I give up this pass, I'll be slaughtered. And Sniper's like, Sniper's saying, you know what? He's got to go move his third. He'll go defend his third. I can charge right in now and go take his army. So I'm gonna cross over here and go try to take this army. He says, uh-oh. He's still here. What is this madness? This guy's good, man. He's not moving out of position. And so he's going to back up. Meanwhile, of course, Seed's saying, this is bad. Our base is dying, but I think I can defend it with warpins because of the fact that I built a godly base structure and am just that darn good at this game. So, able to defend that. A couple over-year results are going to die. But amazing play by both players here. You know, Sniper trying to get him to move out of position so we can cross that narrow pass. Seed, you know, with the forethought to defend without having to move his army back. Just very efficient defense. In fact, this Immortal's going to hold position in the hole there. The Zealots will head back to defend this base. Just great play on both sides. And the Zealots will be super effective because the Zergis have no upgrades. The Zealots are 3-0. So again, Sniper keeps testing him. He says, you know what? You're going to move out of position. Seed says, you know what? I'm not going to. I know exactly what you're trying to do. I'll keep my guys in the concave. If you move forward here, I'm going to try to punish him. And Seed eventually decides, you know what? Or Sniper says, I'm going to try to, you know, he keeps poking and trying to trade a few units because he wanted to trade away some of his roaches anyway. So he wasn't able to get a good trade. He basically just donated some roaches. But you could see the idea there was he was trying to trade so he could replace but get a value on the trade. Sniping the fourth Nexus ideally. Getting a decent unit for unit trade value. Instead, Seed just set his defense up perfectly. And it ended up basically Sniper had to donate those units. So the idea though there is just really good. Both players played that out so well, and then Sniper ended up I think donating just the right amount of units. Get rid of the roaches, keep some Hydras because those will help you DPS behind the Ultralisk. And now come in here, you got your Ultralisk. He wants to keep the pressure on if he can knock down his fourth base before Seed can mine too much from it. You know, maybe the idea here is that Seed probably doesn't have much of a bankroll because he hasn't been mining very much. And he can try to get a good value because right now, he's got a superior army composition, right? There's only 3 Immortals, right? There's only 3 Immortals versus 11 Ultras, right? And the Ultras have some good Viper support, some Infestor support, but the bulk of the army is these Stalkers, and Ultras are good against those. So he wants to fight now because if he waits too long, Seed will get more and more Ultras, or more and more Immortals. He'll find a way to trade off some Stalkers, and then he'll find a good composition to counter those Ultras. So he wants to fight right now. Seed knows he wants to fight right now, so what does Seed do? He sets up a perfect concave again. And Sniper's like, you know what? Do I have to really charge through into this death trap when all my units, I mean, his units will have to come in through basically this small passageway, right? They have to come in this way. And then there's this giant Protoss army of death that's all just gonna, you know, rain down fire, basically. So he's got to be taking fire from all these angles. Not what he wants to do, right? Not at all what he wants to do. So he's like, you know what? I can't do it. And then he's like, you know what? On second thought, screw it. Let's go. Because I just want to get a trade going. The positioning's bad. I mean, they got some Ultras stuck here in the back, but you know, we got to get a trade going before he gets too many Immortals. Right now, I've got the initiative on my side. I've got a good bankroll. I know he doesn't because he's been down on economy, so if I can keep pounding him, I'll be able to replace my units faster than he will. That's kind of the mentality here. So he comes in here, some great storms, seeing a lot of units. In fact, some great feedback. Some Infestors doing very little here. The Blinding Clouds. They're over on this side of the map. I kind of wish the Blinding Clouds are more on these Immortals here. Not quite, but it's still ideas there. The trade's going well. And, you know, Seed Seed kind of wins this. I mean, he holds off, but he actually, unit loss-wise, if you look here, it's almost dead even now, and Zerga's behind before. So, a very, very even battle, which is perfect for Sniper, because remember, the idea is that he can replace units faster than his opponent. So he's just going to do that. He's going to crank out 9 Ultralists, a whole bunch of guys, and then remass again, ready to go again for the second wave. Meanwhile, of course, he's trying to catch up with upgrades as well on those late game upgrades. Canceling his opponent's 5th base, waiting to get all the Ultralists ready. And now this time he's going to come in, and his opponent doesn't have the same army count, right? You can see there. Sniper's got about a 1,500 army advantage, and if his Zerg has an army advantage and they've got high tech like this, it's not going to go well for the Protoss. Even though he's got a good number of mortals there, the Blinding Cloud forces him to micro backwards, but he can't because he was fungal growth. You know, when he tries to get his guys out of the claws, the Vipers can pull in the Immortals, and the Ultras close with the Immortals actually kill them very quickly. Stalker's trying to blink away, but it's just too much carnage. Seed's able to collect himself with some good micro, but again, it's another trade, and meanwhile the Zerg can repopulate faster. The Nexus goes down, and as soon as that Nexus goes down, I mean, he's down to, basically, if you look at this, half the economy of his opponent. Even though it's even workers, half the economy, and the next attack he can't stop because he just can't replace the units fast enough. So, I know there's a lot going on in that game. I really love that game. A lot of tactical maneuvering. Both players play it tactically, very intelligently. Knowing when to take bad fights because you just had to fight then. Knowing when not to take fights. Knowing how to position before fights. Everything was just done. Some really, really nice play on both sides there. I encourage you guys, check out the YouTube VOD of that game. youtube.com/official MLGSC2 Seed vs Sniper Game 2. Anyway, that's it for that game. We'll take a quick break and be back with game number 3.